The Taliban war chest. Where did the Taliban find funds to sustain themselves over a 2 decade war with the US? With the Americans gone and the Afghan opposition collapsed, what military assets do the Taliban have? In returning to power in Kabul over the weekend, the Taliban demonstrated both the success of a lightning military offensive against Afghanistan's then government as well as the remarkable resilience in the face of onslaughts by the world's most powerful military in for 20 years. When they were driven out of Kabul in November 2001, the Taliban had been in power for a little over 5 years and in existence for only seven. What makes them the fighting force that outlasted the United States in its longest ever war and defeated the Afghans, who received equipment and training worth over 80 billion from the Americans? Where have the Taliban found the funds to sustain themselves over a 2 decade war with an adversary with almost limitless resources? Flourishing drug trade. In a May 2020 report, the United Nations Security Council estimated that overall Taliban annual combined revenues range from 300 million to upwards 1.5 billion per annum. It said that while the figures for 2019 were lower, officials were careful to note that Taliban used resources effectively and efficiently and were not experiencing a cash crisis. The primary source of the Taliban's funds has been the drug trade, as per report after report shown over 2 decades. Their income suffered in recent years because of the reduction in poppy cultivation and revenue, less taxable income from aid and development projects, and increased spending on governance projects, the UNSC report said. However, while heroin cultivation and production have provided the bulk of Taliban revenue for many years, the emergence of methamphetamine in Afghanistan is giving impetus to a major new drug industry with significant profit margins. According to the reports, interdiction of the methamphetamine was first recorded by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime (UNODC) in 2014, 9 kg, and has continued on a sharp upward trajectory with 650 kg interdicted in the first half of 2019. Methamphetamine, the report said, was stated to be more profitable than heroin because its ingredients are low cost and it does not require large laboratories. The Taliban, it said, were reported to be in control of 60% of methamphetamine laboratories in the key product producing provinces of Farah and Nimruz. The report quoted officials as saying the system of heroin smuggling and taxation organized by the Taliban stretched across 8 of Naghar's southern districts of Hizarak to Durbaba on the border with Pakistan. In each district, smugglers paid a tax to district Taliban commanders of 200 Pakistan rupees or its equivalent in Afghans per kilogram of heroin. Smugglers were provided documentation by each Taliban commander certifying payment of tax before proceeding to the next district and repeating the same process. Afghan officials stated that the smuggling routes thus helped to financially empower each district Taliban commander. In a report published last year, UNODC said Afghanistan, the country where most opium is produced, which has accounted for approximately 84% of global opium production over the past 5 years, supplies markets in neighborhoods countries, Europe, the near Middle East, South Asia, Africa, and to a small degree North America. Mining taxes donations. In September 2020, Radio Free Europe reported on a confidential report commissioned by NATO, which it concluded that the Taliban has achieved or is close to achieving financial and military independence, which enables to self-fund its insurgency without the need for support from governments or citizens of other countries. Besides the illicit drug overseen by Mullah Muhammad Yaqub, the son of Taliban founder Mullah Muhammad Omar, a shadowy figure who is expected to play an important role in the new government, the Taliban has expanded its financial power in recent years through increased profits from illegal mining and exports. It is estimated that the militant movement earned a staggering US 1.6 billion in the year ending March 2020. Of this, 416 million came from the drug trade, over 450 million from the illegal mining of iron ore, marble, copper, gold, zinc, and rare earth metals, and 160 million from extortion and taxes in the areas and on the highways it controlled. It also got 240 million in donations largely from Persian Gulf nations. To launder the money it earned, it imported and exported consumer goods worth 240 million. The Taliban also owned properties worth 80 million in Afghanistan and Pakistan, the report said. Weapons from Pak and loot. The Taliban do not appear to have any dearth of weapons to fight the Afghan and US forces. Support from Pakistan has always been key, but the Taliban did not rely on any single source of arms and ammunition. Journalists such as Gretchen Peters, Stephen Cole, and others have repeatedly pointed to the support of the ISI and Pakistan army to the Taliban, directly and through the Haqqani network, a sprawling Islamist mafia based in Pakistan's tribal areas and in Afghanistan, comprising fighters, extremist religious schools, and shady business with powerful connections to Arab countries in the Gulf and in the Pakistan. American leaders and generals have openly accused Pakistan of diverting to the Taliban funds that it received to fight against the fundamentalist movement. There are other players too. In September 2017, the Afghan Army General Sarif Yatali told the BBC that he had documents to prove that Iran was supplying weapons and military equipment to the Taliban in western Afghanistan. A November 2019 report by the US Defense Intelligence Agency noted that since at least 2007, Iran has provided calibrated support, including weapons, training, and funding, to the Taliban to counter the US and Western influence in Afghanistan, combat ISI Khorasan, and increase Tehran's influence in any post-reconciliation government. The US has also accused Russia of supporting the Taliban, but there is little evidence of that. Beyond these external avenues, the Taliban has also been able to arm itself with the weapons and ammunition that the US has provided to the Afghan forces over the years. America's Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, a Congress backed watchdog, noted in an analysis in 2013 that nearly 43% of the firearms, 2 crore 3,88,000 of the 4,74,823 provided to the Afghan forces were unaccounted for. Given the Afghan government's limited ability to account for proper dispose of the weapons, there is real potential for these weapons to fall into the hands of insurgents, which will pose additional risk to US personnel, the ANSF, and Afghan civilians, the analysis said. US military assets with Taliban. No figures are available for what kind of American military assets and in what numbers have fallen into Taliban hands. The US Government Accountant Office said in a report in 2017 that between 2003 and 2016, the US funded 75,898 vehicles and 5,99,690 weapons, 208 aircraft, and 16,191 pieces of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance equipment for the Afghan forces. In the last few years, 7,000 machine guns, 4,700 Humvees, and over 20,000 grenades have been given to the Afghan forces, SIGA data show. SIG's July quarterly report mentioned that the Afghan airbase had a total of 167 aircraft, including jets and helicopters that were usable in country as of June 30. This included 23 A-19 aircraft, 10 AC-208 aircraft, 23 C-208 aircraft, and 3 C-130 aircraft, besides 32 Mi-17, 43 MD, and 33 UH-60 helicopters. On August 17, 2 days after the Taliban took control of Kabul, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said, "We don't have a complete picture, obviously, of where every article of defense material has gone, but certainly a fair amount of it has fallen into the hands of the Taliban." Thank you.